This little film is based on a PowerPoint that I made about 16 years ago when I first was guided to create the LightWorker essences. This is going back to 2005, and I spent about 3 years preparing them, 2 to 3 years, for the changes that were just around the corner in 2007-2008. 2007, if you recall, had tremendous floods all over the country, and what those floods were symbolic of was the old systems breaking down. The old Victorian underground sewers and water clearing systems were so old and archaic they could not cope with the volume of water coming through with the floods. Water is about emotional energy, and this was all significant in terms of the way that we were changing at that time with the new energies coming in. That change led to bringing the systems down. We look at everything that's going on around us now in 2021, and we can see that those systems they've been broken for a long time. The financial system, the banking system, health and social care, national health system, the education system, all of these systems have been broken for a long time, and what we're now seeing is the dismantling of them so that they can be rebuilt with authenticity and with compassion, in alignment with what the new energies are bringing in, not only to us as light workers, consciously aware of the changes that are coming in. That's the definition. Working with those changes and supporting others at this time through the changes that we're going through. So this was originally intended, when the channeling, the information first came through to me, to be a first aid kit for light workers, and I've given you that definition now. And as light workers, because of the sensitivity that we have, the intuition, the empathetic ability and the empathy to see and feel what other people are going through at this time, and work with that quite consciously. So my name is Linda Porter, and I am going to introduce a little bit about myself. Essentially a healer, therapist, spiritual counsellor, artist, photographer and pioneer of HET, Holistic Educational Therapy, which is a program I devised over decades in my career as a teacher and an educational consultant. Details of other areas of my work are available on various websites, and through any of these I can be contacted. www.lindaporter.co.uk is my hub site, and HET website is my educational site, but they're just a few of them. I also work as a channel, and in the spring of 2007 I was given this information regarding changes that we as a society were going through at that time. I have been guided to make these remedies available again now, because of the continuation and the intensity of those changes that we're going through collectively. These processes have been spoken of in many different ways, and have become quite cliched over the time and through the change of the millennium and so on. But essentially it just is something that has been referred to and commonly understood to be the shift. All the old is shifting out to make way for the new coming in, and this is what the energy shift at this time is all about. So as a scientist, which was my original career, a metaphysicist and a healer, I offer the following attempt to get a handle on what is happening to us and to our planet right now. We are, of course, the LightWorker term refers to the energy, the light body that we have. The LightWorkers, as I say, are consciously aware of this, and they're more consciously aware of a holistic level of seeing and being and living. And what's happening now is everything that is, be that a physical body or the desk at which I now sit, it is just made of energy vibrating at a particular rate, a particular frequency, a particular speed, if you like, and that over the last 30-40 years has accelerated. It's got faster, it's got quicker, it's got higher, and lots of things are going along around us that have been reflecting that back to us. And I know that some of those of you who have been consciously aware of this for some time now are fully aware of that and have grown through, I suppose, the growing pains of actually getting through what that is. Now we have reached a culmination of experiences where things are going to really shift. We are between times. We have come through, via the pandemic, the end of times as we knew it. Some people refer to it as an apocalypse. Apocalypse just means that is which is hidden and that we couldn't have known about until it was revealed to us. And we are in that transition time now into the time of new times, as we shall come to know them. And so everything that was relevant when these were first made is even more so now, even to the inclusion of the sixth sense remedy that I'll talk to you about in a minute. Suffice to say, we are all being given time through the pandemic 2020 and 2021, where we are now, to stand back and to look at our world in a very different way to how we have before. Lightworkers will have some sense of this. They will now be stepping forward, stepping up to actively work in the role that they were always intended to, in supporting others who have been, shall we say, in resistance or denial for some time, and are going through that initial awakening themselves. So the light body, what is the light body? Well, it is an energy field, and it's more than just the physical body that we see and interact with every day. Within that physical body there are different layers, like an onion. There's the way we feel, the way we think, and our spiritual or higher self, that all interplay and interact with one another to create the outcomes of experience as we perceive it. Now to go on to look at the narrative behind some of these essences, and the first one I'd like to introduce to you is called the lightning tree essence. And this came from a field, having a chance walk and knowing that a lightning tree was calling, and eventually found it. So this essence was found from a lightning struck tree in Essex. The tree stood next to electrical cables. It had obviously attracted the lightning strike, and although it appeared to be dead, wasn't. You look inside the bark, it wasn't dead. When I touched a piece of that bark, it came right off into my hand. I saw the shape of what looked like two nature spirits had formed, as though in a conversation with one another. And as I've worked in the past in partnership with the nature realm, the Devic realm, I saw this as very telling in itself. We were being communicated to at the time. It appeared as though two nature spirits had engaged in conversation. I hope you can see them there. That was like a white powder on the inside of the bark, which showed that although it appeared dead, the tree was still very much alive. As I mentioned earlier, we are made up of light particles. This is the energy, this is our light body. These are the particles of light that we use to heal damage. When we experience trauma, these particles coagulate a little bit like a blood clot. Repeated trauma gets stuck in there too. These energy particles can get thicker, and when there is a trauma of some sort, condense into a much more solid-like matter. This can then manifest as physical illness in the body. It's caused by trauma, and that goes into that solidness. When this essence is taken in and the energy is within the person, this acts like a golden bullet, hitting the trauma and blasting the particles apart, so they can take up the living job done before they coalesced into a lump. It's about reaching potential, dissolving the trauma that's got in the way and blocked that potential. The second essence is the LightWorker essence, and this was made from a buddleia tree. So that people, after taking the lightning tree remedy, may well need to return to the state they were supposed to be in to do the job that they were incarnated to do. And of course, this, as I said earlier, people are stepping up into that role now. So this next remedy, the LightWorker remedy, is for people who have come in to do specific jobs. They will know who they are, as they have come in specifically to do that job and are being called now. This is what it was all about. Taking this remedy has an uplift and a phew feeling to it. All the energy comes up now. That wow, like a fountain of golden energy, pushes everything away. This should be used as a follow-up to the lightning tree essence, or could be used as a follow-up to the lightning tree essence. Nothing is written in stone. There are no ought to, should do's, must do's with this. You use this as an intuitive in the way that you are guided to. It pushes out that which the person wants to get rid of and are still doing what they can, but don't quite manage it, still holding on. This 9-foot buddleia tree grew up in my outdoor meditation pyramid over the course of a 3-day period. I was amazed. It was absolutely covered in butterflies. Well, when I went out to investigate, I was awestruck. The tree was covered in different butterflies. Being a photographer, I just went for it, and as you can see, I had a field day. One of the butterflies eventually landed on my back and flapped its wings. I could see it as the shadow on the ground cast by the sunlight in the garden that day. How I realise now what it was telling me then. The essences restore the light body to its original template, the structure before the traumas and experiences. This third one I refer to as the New Wave essence. It would seem that this should automatically follow on with the New Wave essence, the new wave of incoming abundance energy, which is reconstructing a new matrix within our sphere of reference. This is the essence that had been taken from a plant, which you can see in those pictures had sprung up in exactly the same place where the buddleia tree was growing, and it literally kicked it out. It came from that very spot on the ground where the previous one had been. Now, nobody yet has been able to recognise this plant for me, although it has some similarity to a shrimp plant. Isn't that though? The next one is abundance. And I made an essence from a tree that had been given as an energy exchange for a therapy some years ago. A gardener. It looked like a cherry blossom tree, but for the first time ever, this particular year, it burst into fruit. The most amazing plums. This one actually measured 5 centimetres diameter. My understanding comes from the channeling that I mentioned earlier. It explained the nature of the 2007 floods, and of course the following year was the financial crisis, stock market. It said that the new systems were emerging as the old ones break down, that it was like a river flowing sometimes, and when that river hits rocks that resist the flow, then chaos ensues. The incoming flow gets directed every which way, the chaos. These rocks represent our old beliefs and values and thought patterns, that to let go of them, it's helpful to define what we think is our block, for example, lack of money or income, so on and so forth, to redefine it in a positive sense. For example, what that could do for us, e.g. gives us opportunities for expansion, and every time that worry, thought or feeling encroaches into us, we change it into the new association. This then dissolves the old rock and allows the flow of an incoming abundance without resistance. And of course now we're seeing so many people losing their jobs, their income, and this is about them coming away from something that was not sustainable in the new energies and opening up new opportunities to create the new times as we will come to know them. I understand this essence eases that flow of abundance towards us in order to assist the manifestation or the co-creative process to occur. Next one, angelic bliss. This is a photograph of it, the essence actually being made. It's plant material soaking in a beautiful crystal bowl of very pure water in the sunlight, so that the plant gives up its life energy that is recorded into the unique properties of water. It's something called covalent bonding, which is the way the hydrogen and the oxygen atoms come together and revolve around one another, that holds the memory. This is a plant that I encountered when I was delivering the HET workshop on working with orchids. This is part of the HET program, now part of Pat's Garden and the Therapeutic Pathways, the Orchid Garden, a system for supporting the wounded, vulnerable inner child healing. This is a more highly developed plant of the unusual new wave essence. It looked very similar to the one that was growing in my garden, but this one looked more advanced with the fruit far more developed. And if you look at that picture, you can see the little angels shining back at you from every berry and every reflection within the plant. The essence was made from this, and we sampled the solarized water left in the sunlight as it was made. What is interesting is that after it had been made, one of my colleagues pulled back the sepals from the base of the flower and that plant material and found the most incredibly minute little angel feather in there. I've never seen anything like that, and how that could have got in there in the first place, I don't know. Couldn't explain it. But certainly when we tasted the water from it, that's how we all felt. Totally blissed out. This remedy is for those who, having achieved their state of mastery, lose sight of where they are and almost feel homesick for the old system. We hear this in people now, talking about when do we return to normal, not letting go of that was imperfect in the olden times, but not focusing on where they are now in terms of the power and the potential that the new times offer. This is where others have been left behind, as it were. It's about maintaining the high energy state. Now this final one is security, or as it was explained to me at the time the guidance came through, C, cure it, Y. what is security? What is our sense and our understanding of what security is? Now, this one I didn't use at that time because it came a lot later in that particular year. And that's a tree. Throughout preparing these essences, I always believed there was a sixth essence to be made. And this one came from a very unusual tree in my garden. And it wasn't until the autumn equinox in 2007 that I was guided to prepare this essence from a fruit that came from a weeping pear that was intertwined with another tree in my garden. So this came from just one half of it. This took a lot of preparation, please excuse the pun, and required it to be left outdoors in sunlight and moonlight over a 28-day period. And this was in order to benefit from a range of moon phases during its solarization process. It also started to decompose in this state. And normally I would only leave an essence out there for a day in the sunlight, which is where it gives up its electrical energy, and overnight in the moonlight to give up its magnetic energy to form an electromagnetic essence. And the electromagnetic energy within us is what we combine with intent to create, to manifest as a co-creator. Now, my understanding at this time, but is so much more relevant now, of this remedy is that things need to break down in order to be reconstituted as a new structure. This particular remedy stabilizes the system whilst that transformation is taking place. And now, hopefully you can see why I understand the significance of this and why it came later to be used at this time. Now, taking the essences, those of you who've read any of my work before, this is a very different book, the ebook that is downloadable alongside this. It is actually a research journal, and it contains the notes and research and understanding that I got in making these, and the guidance and the channeling that I got. This is just a reference point. As I said, intuitively it is down to you as to how you use it. As you read through that book, that information on the remedies, you will find out how they speak for themselves. They didn't need me to speak for them, but you will appreciate they're very powerful and very different to any other types of remedies. I personally believe in the power of the individual involved, yourself, to sense the remedy for yourself, and this can always be muscle tested to adapt the remedy and the dosage to the individual in this manner. And I've actually included in the book a link on how to do this. What I would suggest is that you try closing your eyes and touching each individual remedy in turn. You should feel a sensation, a warmth or a tingling when you touch one of the remedies, and this will indicate that this is the one that you need to take. It can also be seen that they may be taken in an order of 1 to 5, with 1 lightning tree being followed closely by 2, the LightWorker's essence, then a gap, then 3, new wave, then a further gap, and then 4, abundance, and then sometime after, angelic bliss, followed by security. When we have reached the point of mastery and connection within self, we may feel almost homesick for the old way of being, because we are different to those around us, and in this way we may almost pine for the old way of doing things and slip back in again. Now, the first essence, lightning tree, will probably only need 1 dose to clear the trauma, but again, intuit that for yourself. It may well be the case that when a light worker touches the remedies, it will be sufficient and they may not need to actually take a dose. It will probably be that they know which one to take by the way they are feeling prior to touching the remedy and the effect that the remedy has on them. They may also be used with other people, but it's the sensitivity of that person is not pronounced, or not as pronounced rather, as the light workers, and the light worker will act as a surrogate sensitive for their client, or they may choose to muscle test. Now, I'd just like to say a little bit about how these are made. Once they are solarized, the water is diluted 1:1 to make a mother tincture with a brandy as a preservative, or could be a vodka, and they are kept in the bottles as a mother tincture. They are then put into the homeopathic remedy machine, and much as a photocopy works, the energy signature from that initial tincture is transferred into a small sugar pilule, or tiny little sugar ball. Now when you take these, please avoid touching them. The sugar ball acts, the sucrose in the molecules of sugar acts like a safe which holds the code of the energy that's been imprinted in it. And of course if you touch it, the water in your skin, the moisture in your skin will start to dilute it. So please tip it into a spoon or into the lid, and then either into your mouth or into a glass of water that you drink. By taking these remedies and working with their energy, the Lightworker will become aware of the nature of the remedies and more familiar with how to use them. This is why I say use the research that I give you in the downloadable ebook as a reference point, but please keep your own journal of your own experiences and intuition going with it. When working children, they usually know automatically which ones to work with, and they may even choose to. But again, this can be muscle tested with a surrogate for verification for dosage and duration. It may well be the case that the energies are taken as a program and then available at certain times to deal with issues as they arise, or patterns as they are changed, and the impact this has on the spiritual body within the new light frequencies prevailing. This is why it has to be an intuitive process. Please contact me. My phone 07 970 052 047. Email me lynn@hetwebsite.com for any support, information, latest developments, or just to discuss feedback the experiences that you had, which can add to the research behind these incredible remedies at this time. Thank you, beautiful Lightworker, for taking out your vision, taking your energy, and being who you truly are at this special time. Thank you.